What do you think? Is Joe Biden the worst presidential candidate in history, or is he the most deceitful candidate in history? Certainly, he's the most hypocritical. At every opportunity, he dodges questions, he refuses to tell Americans what they need to know, and he evades scrutiny. This is the man who is supposedly going to unite the nation. He doesn't treat the campaign as a chance for the American people to get to know him. He treats it as a mere springboard to power. But you know this. You've been watching him and his party sneer at voters all this year. He isn't making an effort with you. He doesn't care about you. The man is a hypocrite. Today we have some clips coming up illustrating that hypocrisy, and we'll let you draw your own conclusions as to whether we're right or not. You're watching Political, and my name is Connor Allen, and I'm here as always with Ryan Smith.
Hello, everyone.
And before we begin, guys, please do subscribe as ever if you're enjoying this content. We're just about coming up to 100 subscribers at the moment, which is just incredible, given that we've only been at this a short time. Big thank you to everyone who's subscribed already. And do drop us a like if you do like the content. Tell us what you think as well. We love hearing your comments. We love to hear your opinion. And with that out of the way, we should move on into clips.
It sounds like an episode of Blue Peter, by the way. Oh, please send us in your pictures and show us what you've been painting at home.
We could do snail mail.
So all of these clips are in the past week. This is the past week. This isn't even like a collage of the 47 years. This is just the past week that's happened. So I just play these. They're only short. I'll play these 3 clips.
Yes. Gallup reported last week 56% of Americans said that they were better off today than they were 4 years ago, would have been under the Obama-Biden administration. So why should people who feel that they are better off today under the Trump administration vote for you?
Well, if they think that, they probably shouldn't. They think 54% of American people are better off economically today than they were in our administration. Well, their memory is not very good, quite frankly. And in addition to that, we have a president who doesn't share the values of most Americans. He's not very honest with people. He is flouting the conventions relative to public safety in terms of even now not wearing a mask.
Right. Just nothing to see there, folks. It's just Joe Biden telling 56% or 54%, if you, as he recalls it, of voters not to vote for him.
It's basically a satire at this point, isn't it? Like we're not scripting this. It's not a deep fake. I wish it was.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, do you think? What do you think? Do you think it's incompetence, or do you think it's like an actual deceit? Because really, if he's looking at when people are explaining their own experience, he's saying, they have bad memories. It just what?
Yeah, it's like I just think he's so far down that rabbit hole of liberal thinking that he genuinely believes that anyone that doesn't agree with him actually just must be racist, and that there's no getting through to those people. That's what he thinks of most Americans. That's what he thinks of them.
That's why he said, they probably shouldn't vote for me. Like, what politician? You're meant to be representing the entire nation, and you're saying, okay, don't vote for me. I don't want your support. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is absolutely insane. In any other campaign, that would be, that would end your campaign. That would end your campaign. Listen, here's another one anyway. This one's only just from last week.
Do people want to make a change, though?
Well, that's up to them to decide.
Why should they?
It's for them to decide.
Well, make your case.
I'm not going to.
Why?
Why should people make a change and vote you in? Well, that's up to them to decide. Okay, but why do you think they should? Well, should you make a case? No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to tell people why they should vote for me. I'm running to be president, but I'm not going to tell people why they should vote for me.
But actually, this kind of plays into that far left narrative, doesn't it? Have you ever spoken to a left-wing voter and they just have this kind of belief that it's your duty to vote the way they think is right? But I've experienced this many, many times. He's repeating it there, isn't he? He doesn't have to tell people. why they should vote for him because it's implicit, right? It's their moral duty to vote for Biden.
Yeah, it's an arrogance. It's an arrogance. And it always comes back to this, we've spoken about before, this feeling that they are virtuous, that they are objectively right, they're moralistically in the right. And anyone that disagrees with them, they've just not woken up yet, or they're evil. So we don't need to make the case for why we're right. We are right. You just haven't realized it yet. It's not competing. It's not competing ideologies or competing views of the world based upon people's own personal experience and what matters and what's important to them. That's not what it is, Connor. It's we're objectively right. You've just not realized it yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost as if they consider the default position to be voting for them. Anyone who disagrees with them, they have to justify it themselves. Like, what do they think? You know, in the lefties' mind, assuming they have brains, I'm just imagining, you know, they picture the world like, you know, you're voting for Sauron or you're voting for Gandalf. It's such a simplistic view of the world. It actually hurts my brain to think about it.
Yeah, that's actually a great analogy. Like it's almost biblical. It is almost biblical. Like good versus evil. We're on the good side. We are the good guys. It's a Hollywood interpretation of a very complex world. So, listen, I've got one more clip anyway, and we could have picked 10 different clips of him refusing to pack the court, but this one is particularly brilliant. Listen to this one.
I've got to ask you about packing the courts, and I know that you said yesterday you aren't going to answer the question until after the election, but this is the #1 thing that I've been asked about from viewers in the past couple of days.
Well, you've been asked by the viewers who are probably Republicans who don't want me continuing to talk about what they're doing to the court right now.
Well, sir, don't the voters deserve to know?
No, they don't. I'm not going to play his game. He'd love me to talk about, and I've already said something on court pack. He'd love that to be the discussion instead of what he's doing now.
Oh, brilliant. The voters don't deserve to know. They don't deserve to know what his intention is if he becomes president.
And not with a small piece of policy. It's not, you know, tariffs on mushrooms, is it? It's the Supreme Court. It's one of the founding pillars of American democracy. It's one of the. It's an entire branch of government.
Yeah.
That impacts all the others, and the voters don't deserve to know whether he's going to irrevocably alter that. And when you listen to the punditry on it, they describe things like suicide bomb, they describe things like nuclear weapons to illustrate the impact of what packing the court would have on it. That's honestly baffles my mind.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, you know, you've got Joe is like, oh, well, what about people that, you know, think they're doing better now under Trump? Well, no, they shouldn't vote for me. Well, you know, what about people that don't want to change? You know, are you going to make a case? No, not really. Well, what about your position, your policy? Do they deserve to know? No, they don't deserve to know what it is. Okay, Joe. This is his campaign. How can this man seriously be ahead in the polls or in any poll whatsoever? This has got to be
one of the most... He has a bit of help from his friends.
Yeah, this has got to be one of the most catastrophic campaigns I have ever seen. I really cannot recall someone having such contempt for voters than Joe Biden. The way he answers these questions is so insulting. I mean,
he acts like a monarch, doesn't he? In the way that he just kind of, you know, if the little people question him, well, they don't, you know, what are they doing thinking about politics? You know, they don't deserve to think about it. And actually, at the start of this video, I asked, you know, is he the most a deceitful candidate in history, or is he the most incompetent? Well, he's not the most deceitful, is he? Because he's just coming out and saying it. He's just like actually saying these things in the open. And what? No one's calling him out on it.
Yeah, and I think the reason why this is more important, like, obviously, listen, this is a disastrous campaign strategy in the first place to just even say things like this. it reminds me of, and I know probably a lot of American viewers right now won't really know what I'm talking about, but we had a candidate here called Theresa May, and she basically just thought she was like so ahead in the polls that she just didn't really care, didn't bother to turn up to the debates, just didn't really answer any question or anything. They're way ahead. She was way ahead by everybody's interpretation of what was going on, and then it ended up basically being even in the end, and no one had a majority in Parliament. This is kind of what it reminds me of. It's like an arrogance, like I'm so far ahead that it doesn't really matter what I do, I don't really care. But for me, the biggest thing here is this is a man who says, I'm going to unite the country, I'm going to bring everyone together. It's like, Joe, you're saying that you're going to be a president for Republicans and Democrats, but every time a journalist gives you a platform to reach out to people across the aisle that don't agree with you and say, well, here's your chance now, make a case. Why should they vote for you? It's like, yeah, I don't really care. I'm not even going to bother answer. Yeah, they shouldn't vote for me. No, I'm not going to. They don't deserve to know. I'm not going to give you an answer.
You're absolutely right. This is a man who believes these crazy polls saying he's 25 points ahead, right? And we did a video on it this week. Go ahead, check it out if you haven't already. It's just ludicrous it's a man who thinks he's already won the election, and he's going to have a big surprise come November. That's my prediction. Anything left to say on that, Ian?
No, I believe that just about wraps it up, mate.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much for listening, guys. Again, please do like, comment, subscribe if you haven't done already. Big thank you to listening. Big thank you to all the subscribers so far, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys.